Live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. This is Joy News Prime. I'm Carlos Caloni.
And I am Faustina Safo. Tonight, President Mahama expected to meet with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and other key stakeholders on Thursday to discuss what he describes as a final solution to the recurring mismanagement of public funds highlighted annually in the Auditor General's reports. More as he describes the composition of all male boards and councils in the public sector as unacceptable.
Also, minority kicks against calls for increased age restriction for military recruitment from age 25 to 35 years, describing the push by Sam George and Roxanne Dafia-Mekpo as populist and an attempt to interfere in the work of the military. We have details plus more from perspective of a security analyst.
Also tonight, labor unions are bracing themselves for a potential explosive shutdown with the government over base pay negotiations ahead of the 2026 budget presentation to Parliament. But how much can government accommodate? We have analysis here on Joy News Prime.
Remember, we are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism.
We appreciate your company.
Well, the minority in Parliament has kicked against calls for an increment in the military recruitment age from 25 to 35 years. Minister for Communications, Samuel Nati George, and Majority Chief Whip, Roxanne Nelson Dafia-Mekpo, having two separate statements, been making a strong push for the age limit to be increased in the face of ongoing recruitment process. Nelson Dafia-Mekpo, for instance, says the call has been inspired by many calls from his party foot soldiers. We'll hear from him shortly, but first listen to a retired colonel of the Ghana Armed Forces, Festus Abuaje, who kicked against the call, insisting that it will expose officers to health challenges, putting pressure on the military's finances.
They're not like America and the UK, where people are unwilling to join the service or services. So they are giving them inducements. Some will be promised higher education, some will be promised this. That is not the reality in Africa, where, by and large, we have a youth bulge, there is unemployment, and at any time that you want to recruit people into security services, you have far more than the numbers that you are looking for. So, sincerely, I don't understand the logic in the statement that he is making. The fact of the matter is that as we age, we begin to experience health challenges. So if you bring in older people, it is likely to increase the health budget of the Ministry of Defense. Because many more people who are aged who end up at the military hospitals looking for this or that treatment.
At the retired Colonel Festus Abuaje, just opinion on this topical issue. We can now hear from the ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Reverend Intim Fojo, who says they reject the call, describing it as a populist move and an attempt to interfere with the work of the military.
I don't see why a section of MPs from within NDC to want to make populist requests to interfere with the quality job that Ghana Armed Forces is doing. Let us take a cue from what happened in Liberia. In Liberia, in history tells us when the leadership at the time made a mistake and tempered with the age policy and even responded to foot soldiers' calls and made recruitment political, ended up bringing in politicians and political foot soldiers who are within 35 and above. What we had was the beginning of instability in Liberia. We don't want to get there. Let us allow the Chief of Defense Staff and his team to do this job with absolute neutrality, professionalism, and within the appropriate age limits that they have set, which in my assessment are fair. They are within best practice worldwide, and no politician should want to attempt to interfere.
Well, away from that, President John Dramani Mahama is set to meet with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General and other key stakeholders on Thursday to discuss what he describes as a final resolution to the recurring mismanagement of public funds every year in the Auditor General's report. Speaking at the 12th Annual Conference of Chairpersons of Governing Boards and Councils, Chief Directors and Chief Executives organized by the Public Services Commission of Ghana in Ho, the President said the meeting will also focus on fast-tracking the prosecution of individuals implicated in such report. Presidential Affairs Correspondent Maxwell Agbagba has more in the following report.
Year after year, the Auditor General's reports reveal widespread financial irregularities across public institutions, a recurring issue that continues to drain the nation's resources. President John Mahama says enough is enough. He's scheduled to meet with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and other key stakeholders on Thursday to find what he calls a final solution to the persistent mismanagement of public funds.
Recently, I've been watching the Public Accounts Committee, and it's so pathetic. You know, why must we every year congregate at the Public Accounts Committee, and then you hear all kinds of atrocious, things. I mean, recklessness with public funds and resources. And so I have a meeting on Thursday with the Chief Justice, the Attorney General, and others to find a final solution to this Auditor General's report. That persons who are found guilty of infractions or do not follow due procedure or lead to loss of public resources, we must have a fast-track process to Nsawam, Fast-track, before you see you in Nsawam, 6 months. Until we do that, until there's a deterrent, we're going to come every year and they say total misappropriation and infractions of found out by the Auditor General is about 15 billion cedis. I mean, if we save 15 billion cedis, can you imagine what it could do?
President Mahama says that audit report implementation committees are not functioning effectively and very little is done after Public Accounts Committee hearings. The President expressed optimism that the new measures to be discussed will serve as a deterrent to others.
And so we're going to have a meeting, we're going to brainstorm. We've not fully implemented the constitutional provision. There's a part of the provision that says after the Public Accounts Committee has sat on the Auditor General's report, Parliament must set up a committee. What we don't know is whether it should be a parliamentary committee or it's a committee not necessarily made of parliamentarians to implement the findings of the Auditor General. Right now, what we use is the audits, the ARICs. Every department is supposed to set up an ARIC. But once they've come from the Public Accounts Committee, virtually nobody follows up on what's the recommendations that were given. And so the audit reports implementation committees are not working. And so we must find a way where we are able to create a deterrent until people know that you can be held responsible for these things that you do. They'll continue to do the same thing. And so after Thursday, I'm sure we'll come up with some way where persons who are culpable of misusing the resources of the people will be held to account so that others, do not follow suit.
The President has also been urging appointees to serve with dignity so they will have no reason to fear when called to account for their stewardship after serving. He also described the composition of all male boards and councils in the public sector as unacceptable. He has therefore directed governing boards and councils to establish mechanisms to ensure gender-balanced representation in their membership.
And so we have laid down procedures. We're supposed to follow procedure in doing the things that we do. It might be cumbersome following the procedure, but it's better to do it so that you're able to track and trace that it went through the normal procedure and that you took cognition of all the things that make you accountable, so that tomorrow somebody doesn't come and call you to, I heard a song, Iyo Koko Koko. Somebody doesn't call you to Iyoko.
Chairman of the occasion, and the Agboboma fear of the Asogli state. Togbe Apede urged persons in leadership positions to demonstrate integrity in all their dealings.
Well, let's shift attention now to the Labour front. Tonight, Labour unions are gearing up for what could be another tough round of base pay negotiations with government. Earlier this year, President Mahama appealed to unions to accept a 10% increase in the 2025 base pay, but Labour insists this is no longer acceptable, with the Finance Ministry preparing to present the 2026 budget later this month. The unions say rising fuel costs, a looming hike in transport fares, and expected increases in utility tariffs have worsened the cost of living, making 10% unacceptable. President of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Reverend Isaac Owusu, says workers expect government to reach a fair agreement before the 2026 budget is finalized and presented to Parliament.
If you engage the service of an employee and the person render the service for the next 10 to 13 months and you've not paid such employee, it's an unfair labor practice. So it is a duty of the employer to make sure that the said employee are paid. Then the second leg of the issue is that those of us in the service, we are in the service based on our collective agreement. And currently, our collective agreement, I'm talking in terms of the teachers, the lifespan has reduced from 3 years to 2 years. So as I'm talking to you, July 2026, the collective agreement will expire. And we know that next year's budget, all things being equal, will be read in November. So there is a need for us to finish the negotiation, the negotiation of the new collective agreement so that the finance minister can factor such agreement into the budget. So you see that whatever move that we make, it is not out of emotion, but based on the law, the agreement between the employer and the employees through their unions. So our demands are very legitimate. And so you know that this year's base pay, which was 10%, His Excellency, for the first time, at least appeared before organized labor and pleaded that looking at the situation that we find ourselves in, at least we are all Ghanaian, and so we should agree and accept the 10%. Even though our members were not happy with this, because some even tag us, and as usual, that we have gone for brown envelope and green envelope and what have you. But we know that, in fact, we're in a difficult situation. But currently, Evans, with the 10%, now look at the utility tariff service. They are demanding for huge increment, of which even the PURC want to engage stakeholders so that come January, they will approve some tariff increment for either ECG or Ghana Water.
Well, their counterparts in the education sector, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, also say government must revise its offer upward for the next working year. And the Ghana National Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has also called for the negotiations to be concluded sooner rather than later. Joint News research shows that government has projected to ramp up its wage bill by about 18% by next year. But how much of an increase in base pay can this projection realistically support? Regression models have been run by our own research team, and our lead data and research analyst here, Isaac Kofi, and he joins us here in studio. Kofi, what does the data tell us about how much government can afford in terms of base pay?
So, I mean, the most important number is that 18% that government is willing to increase the wage bill by. So what we've done is to use regression analysis, looking at different factors, especially how much government is willing to expand the wage bill to determine where government will possibly put their negotiation figure at. And when we did the regression analysis, what we are seeing is that our regression model, I mean, if you hold all other factors constant, is giving us this figure on the smart wall. And what we've realized is that post-COVID, government has increased wage bill by 15% per annum on the average. And if you look at how much it has also increased the wage bills, around 23% per annum post-COVID. So what we are seeing is that if you look at the strength of government, considering the data that we are seeing, midpoint government can offer labor, holding all other factors constant, 12% plus or minus 5. It means that the lowest possibly that government will go when it goes to the negotiation table will be around 7%, midpoint will be 12%, and the highest that maybe government can offer, looking at the data we are looking at, will be around 17%. So it's 12% plus or minus 5. The question is, will Labour, accept this?
And how much way bill of this is expected, in terms of projection, is expected to affect this?
That big number is on the smart wall again. 89.7 billion Ghana cedis is how much government is hoping to expend on its employees. Compensation of employees' budgets for next year. Indicative number we are getting is 89.7 billion Ghana cedis. It simply means that government is willing to add 13.5 billion Ghana cedis to its wage bill in 2026. But the key question is, will this come from an increase in base pay, or as a result of government decision to employ more people? We already understand that the military will have some 12,000 persons coming on board. And so the question is, this 89.7 billion Ghana cedis, will government decide to go for midpoint 12%, lowest 7%, or possibly go for its highest, maybe 17%, holding all other factors constant? So in terms of real numbers, what we understand is that the indicative data shows that government is willing to expand its wage bill by 18%, increasing it by 13.5 billion Ghana cedis by 2026.
Well, thank you so much, Kofi, for those details.
That the aspirations of the union will fall within their projections. The Employment and Labour Relations Minister, Dr. Rashid Pelpo, says government will drive a hard bargain if demands of the unions are beyond their budget.
That is the issue we are tackling now. How much are we bringing into the budget, into the economy? What is the levels of output and input? First of all, at the end of the year, have we increased in the yearly growth of our states? What is the level of growth in any case? And if the output in our input has increased, we have a capability of improving the employment, employing everybody. But if it is the same or even reducing, how are you going to do it? So I just want workers to also think that, know that the present situation we find ourselves, there are two things about it. There's going to be either you decide to employ people or you satisfy many, many demands that I'm making. More than 12 organizations have sent letters to me and saying that they are going on strike if we don't satisfy them. Are we increasing their salaries to satisfy them, or are we going ahead to employ more people? It's the same budget we are running. So it's a huge thing that we are tackling. And it's a very...
Specifically for the teacher, for Eric, and for Mutala, when are their issues going to be resolved? Because right now they are protesting. They've not been paid, in this case, for 10 months, in this case, for 13 months. What's the solution for them?
I just assure them, before the end of this year, they are going to be satisfied. We will address the problem. In fact, we feel the pain. We feel what they did to them, which has a repercussion this year. You just enter office, you are inheriting a budget which didn't take care of an arrangement they made, and not even sure about financial clearance. You've taken office.
Let's now take you to the Savannah region, because 2 suspects have been arrested in connection with the killing of a night security guard, with 1 suspect confessing to the murder of 15 people. The alleged serial killings include 3 in Bole and Banda in the Savannah region, according to Upper West Regional Police Commander ACP Francis Yuri Bari. The Wa municipality recorded 16 suspected murders between 2021 and 2025. The prime suspect, Sharif Abdullahi, an ex-convict previously jailed twice for unlawful entry and stealing in Bole, allegedly killed 5 of his victims, which included 3 mentally ill persons and 2 night watchmen. ACP Francis Uribari made these disclosures during the press conference in Wa. There's more in the following report.
For almost 4 years, the Greater Wa municipality has recorded 16 suspected murders majority of the victims being night watchmen. The latest suspected murder of a night security man took place on September 21 around the New One Market in the Double Electoral area. The victim is the 55-year-old Yaya Issa, who was murdered in cold blood, bringing shock waves and attracted swathe of residents to the area. The incident happened a day after the new regional police commander, ACP Francis Yerbare, took over the leadership of the Upper Regional Police Command. That probably was his baptism of fire. He was, however, unperturbed about the albatross hanging on his neck, and he remained focused and with unwavering support from the Inspector General of the Ghana Police Service, Christine Tete Yohonu. Exactly 2 weeks after the incident, there was a breakthrough.
After weeks of intense intelligence, we have successfully arrested 2 suspects. Sharif Abdullahi, aged 30 years, and Mahamada Lamin, also aged 25 years, who are believed to be linked to these incidents of murders all over the municipality.
ACP Francis Yerbare laid bare what the crack police investigators have unraveled, leading to the arrest of the first suspect, 25-year-old painter Mahmoud Lamin, followed by the arrest of the prime suspect, 30-year-old cobbler Sharif Abdullahi.
On the 6th of October 2025, the second suspect was also arrested at Adabia, a suburb of Wa. The suspect gave his name as Sharif Abdullahi, a cobbler. He attempted escaping from the arrest on a bicycle when he was chased and arrested. He is an ex-convict, and he also aged 30 years. And he has so many alliances. One is Sani, one is Mohammed, and one is Christos. A search on him right at the scene led to the retrieval of a Valiant phone, keypad mobile phone, and an X-based solar-powered portable radio. Both items were positively identified as properties of the deceased Mr. Issa Yahaya.
The Upper Regional Police Commander revealed that the prime suspect, who is an ex-convict, jailed for 2 years for unlawful entry and stealing at Bole, also allegedly murdered 6 others at Bole, Bomboy, and Banda Konta, all in the Savannah region.
In addition, the suspects later admitted during interrogation that he has killed 15 people in the Wa municipality since 2021.
While away from that, let's shift our attention now to politics. All 5 aspirants for the NPP flag bearer position have been cleared to contest, but did engineer Kwabna Ejapong pay his 4.6 million Ghana cedis development fee after publicly rejecting it? That's the question on the minds of many. According to reports, the party has given him 48 hours to pay the fee or be disqualified from the race. We'll be speaking to the party's executives shortly to find out what action they intend to take on the matter. But before that, let's listen to Kwabna Ejapong, who revealed on PM Express that he is against the payment of that 4 million Ghana cedis development fee required of all aspirants.
I've seen some very worrying videos of people talking about how much money they are prepared to pay. No, look, I don't want to get into that because I think it's despicable. You know, we are a serious country and we should be founded on values and virtues. We should be principled. Otherwise, we don't have a country. Okay? Otherwise, I mean, there has been a subtle attempt, even now as we speak, to create a monetary barrier for some of us. You know, and I think you want to shut out competent, capable.
Is this coming from the executive body, or is coming from candidates who think that they can control the executive body?
You know, so that we reserve. Now, what you are saying, if we allow this to trend, that means you're now reserving leadership opportunities for a wealthy few. Is that the country we want to run? I, Kwabena Japan, will not support that. And I'll speak up against it if it means I don't get any vote, at least in future. Posterity will judge. They will see a certain man who came and fought against this wrong.
Well, Haruna Mohammed is the party's Deputy General Secretary, and he joins us on the phone. Grateful for your time. Has Kwabena Japan paid the 4 million cedis fee? Hello, Haruna Mohammed, if you can hear me. Yes, I'm asking if Kwabena Japan has paid the 4 million development fee apart from what he paid for the form.
You are asking whether Honorable Kwabena Japan has paid the 4 million. Is that the question?
Exactly.
Well, I would say good evening to your cherished listeners. I've heard a video played by your station. Video or an audio voice, or it is something that he said earlier before today.
Your line is not clear, but this is an old file we brought to our audience.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. What I can say is that the party hasn't made an official statement regarding disqualification of the members who have filed protest. And as Deputy General Secretary from the National Secretariat of the party, I need to be minded on official communications. I've heard a lot of people, I've heard news, I've heard people going through. I want to tell you that the party will communicate on such matters to the media, and which has always been done by the General Secretary. Well, the processes and procedures in our party in terms of qualification and disqualification for presidential primaries, our presidential vetting committee work, which is in Article 10(3)(f), Roman number 4, very clear, as expressly stated in the party constitution. At the appropriate time, the party will communicate to the general public on these particular matters. But as we stand now, there is no any official communication as to any disqualification. But the statement he has made was made today. And I'm very surprised that Honorable Kwabena Japan will be making such a public statement when absolutely the constitutional provisions of our party is not yet completed on some of these matters.
Because the line wasn't too clear, I want to find out, yes, that's what I want to find out from you.
As to whether the money has been paid or not, I think that the elections committee has indicated that to you earlier on, and I don't think that their position on that matter has been varied.
Right.
Or if there is any other update regarding that matter, I believe that the elections committee will give an update as to whether that has been paid or not. But as a party, we have not made any official disqualification communication to the general public. And we will urge the general public to stay and allow us to get all these procedures done and communicate the official position of the party to the general public.
Thank you so much for those updates.
Watching Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more. Please stay tuned in.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on Joy News Prime.
To other stories now, the Ghana Water Company Limited is facing more pressure as residents of Chebi reel under a worsening water and health crisis following the shutdown of the town's only water treatment plant for more than 3 months. The facility was forced to halt operations after illegal mining activities turned the Brim River, the plant's main raw source of water, into thick sludge. Now, with turbidity levels soaring to an alarming 64,000 NTU, far exceeding the safe limit of 2,000 NTU, Member of Parliament for Ebuakwa South, Dr. Kingsley Ajiman, warned on Newsdesk that the prolonged crisis is escalating into a major public health emergency in the municipality.
The rivers or the waters are beyond treatment. That is why the Chebi treatment plant of the Ghana Water Company has shut down. To see man people without water, when it is usually agreed that water is life, means that we have to have a clarion call. And to see the open display of these excavators along major roads in the constituency, the impunity with which this is continuing is very disheartening. I'm frightened, and as a member of Parliament, to see my people have a lot of renal, skin rashes, and waterborne diseases is not something that I can be excited about. I think it's about time that we the constituents, have to come to the realization that this thing has really gotten us to our neck. We have to stop it, because those involved in this activity, the few greedy people, we the people who have good conscience, must rise up and stop this. We may not need any executive direction from the presidency. We are bearing the heat of what is happening to us. The sanitation issues that has arisen as a result of this galamsey is so much noticeable. We don't have water.
So you said there's no potable water in your constituency. How are residents coping? What sources of water is accessible to them now?
They are relying on sachet water, which is not sustainable. And even the disposal of this sachet, because it's not biodegradable, is something that is going to have a further knock-on effect on our environment.
Well, Chief Executive for the Ebuakwa South Municipality, Nana Ado-Akins, has assured residents in the metropolis of getting the Chebi treatment plant to start operation soon.
You now, you can bring your cameras around. Most of all the machines that were along the river banks has been removed. You can come around and see. So since we are pushing away all the people who are involved in these activities from the river banks, we are hoping that things will get better with the river bodies that supply their plants with water to be processed for our consumption.
Have you been engaging the Ghana Water Company to know when they plan to restore activities at the treatment plants?
I'm telling you that we've invited the manager. Has been part of our MUSEC meeting at least twice to brief us on updates and all that. The stability levels are around 45,000, 450,000 and all that. So it's going to take some time. So I believe that at least or at most by the close of this month, things should be better for the water plant to start working.
Let's shift attention now to the Employment Agency. About 300 staff of the Youth Employment Agency say they have had to either rely on taking up menial jobs or depending on their spouses for survival, as their salaries have been delayed for nearly 10 months. According to the group, they are yet to receive any remuneration after being employed in November 2024. At a press conference in Kumasi, convener for the concerned group, Oseyao Akoto, said individuals who were permanently employed in November 2024 after serving as contract staff for 2 to 8 years have been at post since December 1, 2024, but have not received any salary payment.
Despite completing the required public service processes, including technical and financial clearances, the agency is yet to pay their salaries, citing an ongoing audit as the reason. The staff claim they were assured by the CEO, Malik Basintali, that their salaries would be paid after the audit, but have since been left in the dark. They further reveal most of the affected individuals are enduring hardship affecting their families. Osei Akoto is convener.
Some of us choose to go for some menial works after official work. Some of us will go for construction works and others are riding Okada to survive. We have been largely dependent on our wives. Those of us whose wives are having works, we've been largely dependent on them. Others who have some colleagues that we call on them. But you can imagine the pains we are going through. It hasn't been easy at all. But that's how we've been surviving. We've been surviving under the benevolence of our friends and our family members. That's how we've been surviving.
The staff claim to have written to the CEO and the agency's lawyers, but are yet to receive a satisfactory response. As the situation continues to worsen, the staff are pleading with the president to take immediate action and save them from further suffering.
We've used internal structures. Honestly, we are people of law. We wouldn't want to drag the agency name into disrepute. So we've used internal mechanism. Several letters we wrote to the chief imam to intervene on our behalf. We've written to Menshia to intervene on our behalf, to the parliamentary caucus to intervene on our behalf.
Meanwhile, the Youth Employment Agency has responded with a statement to be there on your screen, and it raised the attention of the management of the Youth Employment Agency, YEA, has been drawn to reports circulating in the media alleging that about 300 staff of the agency across the country have not been paid their salaries for 10 months. The agency wishes to set the record straight and provide clarity on a matter as follows. It is important to note that the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of YEA, Mr. Malik Basintali, assumed office in February 2025. It is therefore factually inaccurate for any group to allege that the CEO has failed to pay them for 10 months when he has been in office for only 8 months. Upon assumption of office, the Chief Executive Officer inherited the existing payroll which was presented to the board of YEA and duly approved. Since February 2025, all staff members captured on the official payroll have been paid consistently up to September 2025. No individual whose name was duly verified and approved has been left out of the payroll. In keeping with transparency, management undertook a comprehensive staff audit earlier this year to ensure that only legitimate employees are maintained on the payroll. This exercise, far from being punitive, was to protect the integrity of the agency and safeguard public funds. All staff who participated in the audit have been paid accordingly and continue to receive their entitlement. It must be emphasized that certain categories of staff had their contract expired prior to the CEO's assumption of office. In such cases, management directed that they reapply for renewal through their respective directors. Those whose contracts were renewed have since been placed on the payroll. The agency remains committed to the welfare of its personnel. Management, which is views with deep concern report of hardship, including alleged cases of suicide attempts among Ghanaian youth arising from unemployment pressures.
Yes, so watching Joy News Prime. We're back with Showbiz. Please stay tuned in.
Well, it's Showbiz time, and Becky Beggs is here. We have something.
Yeah, we're matching today. It's like, sorry, pardon me.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me. You're expecting me to say something.
Oh, no, just let's go ahead with it.
Okay, let's talk about Daddy Lumba. We finally have a date for his burial. High life legend Daddy Lumba his funeral will take place in December 6th at the Babara Sports Stadium in Kumasi, according to an announcement by DLFM. Daddy Lumba born Charles Kwejo Fosu passed away on July 26, 2025 at the Bank Hospital after a short illness. He was 60. His death sparked nationwide grief, with tributes pouring in from fans, industry colleagues, and political figures, including current and former presidents. To honor his legacy, the Creative Arts Agency, in partnership with the Fusu family, organized a national candlelight vigil on August 2, 2025 at the Independence Square in Accra. Daddy Lumba, widely regarded as one of Ghana's most influential musicians, leaves behind an enduring legacy and a catalogue of timeless high-life classics that continue to inspire generations. Over his 4 years, decade career, he released more than 30 albums, won several Ghana Music Awards, and received numerous honors for his immense contribution to Ghanaian music and culture. May his soul continue to rest in peace. One of the people that Daddy Lumba has inspired is up on Spotlight. She's called Suzanne August. We had a conversation with her, and she's been telling us all about her musical journey and what she hopes to change in the music industry. How long have you been in the industry? For the benefit of those who don't know you, are yet to get to come in terms with your music and what you do, your talent. About yourselves.
Okay, so I'm Suzanne August with a double T. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. Yes. I started off.
Decade.
Yes.
Why? Well, okay, go ahead. It doesn't look like you are out there.
So for me, I started off as doing a lot of private events. I started as a lounge singer as well. And then I went on to put together my band, so I kind of am like the band head. Yes, so basically putting together shows like events. So I work with event planners. I work with clients as well, or people that want to curate. So mostly curating experiences for people. Obviously, I started putting out my own music in like 2019, where I wanted to also put myself out there and also, push my craft to the next level. So I do a lot of private events. I've been there for a long time, but obviously some people don't know me, some people know me.
From this description, where would you say that you find yourself in this industry that we have? There's like a whole big industry. There are bands. You just mentioned that you lead a band. You do your own music as well. You work with, all these event organizers. Where do we find or where can we place Susan?
Okay, so I am more of a jazz, soul, alternative, artist. So I do a blend of genres, but then I'll say soul and jazz is my main. And I'm also doing a little bit of house. I'm exploring as an artist, but I do a lot of events. This year I did the Jazz Festival, Alliance Jazz Festival. I also host my own concerts at Alliance Française. So I do a lot of women empowerment. We did like a whole female lineup just in August as well. We did August in August, which was an all-female lineup performance. Yes.
So we find you on social media. How do we book you? And what else do you think that we can do just so that more light will be thrown into that sector that you are? We have a lot of people who are, musicians, who are creatives, and we don't see, much of them to be able to celebrate them. So what can we do as an industry to get there?
For the women, I feel like there are so many amazing female artists out there that need to be empowered, need to be put on. Sometimes you see these concerts and they're like 10 minutes. And there's one lady in between, but I think they're amazing female artists, but there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of, there's a lot of fear as well. But I think that we have to intentionally place them in certain places to give them that empowerment, to make them feel like we are part of this ecosystem, because we need those women to speak up, and to also be able to share their art and talent. So, but you can find me on all social media platforms, Susan, SUSAN_August, and my band is called the Adoko Band as well. Yes, and
we'll find you.
Yes.
Wow, great story there.
Yeah. Please follow Susan August For more music, also follow myjoyonline.com. Actually, log on to it. Yeah, that's where you find all the news. We're grateful for your time.
Well, Prime Business is up next. Bye-bye.